What if I told you that nearly half of all heart attacks happen without a single ounce of chest pain? You don't clutch your chest, you don't fall to the floor, you just feel incredibly tired, maybe a little nauseous, or you think you ate something that didn't agree with you. I'm Dr. David Thompson, and before we go any further, I want to be completely upfront with you. I am a cellular longevity specialist and functional gerontologist. I am not your personal physician, and nothing in this video replaces a real evaluation from your own doctor or a call to emergency services. What I am going to give you today is awareness. Awareness that, in the moment it matters most, could be the reason you or someone you love picks up the phone instead of going back to bed. Here is the scenario I want you to picture. It happens more than any of us would like to admit. An older adult finishes dinner. Maybe it was something a little heavier than usual. They feel off, a little bloated, a little tired. Maybe their stomach is doing something strange. They chalk it up to acid reflux or a meal that didn't sit right. They think, I'll just go lie down. I'll feel better in the morning. This is one of the most dangerous decisions a person can make when what's actually happening is a silent heart attack. When the heart muscle is struggling for oxygen and nobody, not even the person it's happening to, realizes it. Going to sleep in that window can mean the difference between catching it in time and not catching it at all. Today, I am going to walk you through the 4 silent, easy-to-miss signs of what doctors call a silent myocardial infarction, and I am going to tell you exactly what the current medical guidance says to do in the first critical hour if you ever suspect one is happening. This is one of the most important videos I will ever make for you, so stay with me all the way to the end. And if this kind of information matters to you, if you want more of it, type vitality in the comments below. If this isn't the kind of content you're looking for, type independence instead, so I know how to make better videos for you going forward. Let's start with the question that confuses almost everyone, including a lot of younger doctors. Why would a heart attack not hurt? The medical term is silent myocardial infarction, or SMI. Large population studies following older adults over years have found that a substantial share of heart attacks, in some estimates close to half in people over 65, are either completely silent or so mild in their symptoms that they go unrecognized at the time they happen. That's not a rare fluke. That is a well-documented pattern in the cardiology literature. Why does this happen more as we age? A few things are going on at once, and I want to walk through them simply. First, after age 65, and especially if you're living with diabetes, even borderline or prediabetes, or you've had high blood pressure for a long time, the small nerve fibers that carry pain signals from the heart can become damaged over the years. This is a real recognized phenomenon called cardiac autonomic neuropathy. Diabetes in particular is notorious for quietly damaging these nerves over time, the same way it can damage the nerves in the feet and cause numbness there. Think of it like a fire alarm system where, over the years, mice have chewed through some of the wires. The fire can still start, the smoke can still fill the house, but the siren that's supposed to wake everyone up doesn't go off, or it only gives a faint little chirp that's easy to sleep through. That's what's happening inside a body that's having a silent heart attack. The damage is real. The oxygen deprivation to the heart muscle is real, but the alarm system that would normally send you doubling over in chest pain has been quieted by years of nerve changes. Second, aging itself changes how the brain processes and prioritizes pain signals, and many older adults have simply lived with so many aches, so much fatigue, and so many minor complaints over the decades that a new, serious signal gets filed away with all the old familiar ones. It gets dismissed as just another symptom of getting older. There's a third piece worth mentioning too. Women, in particular, have long been documented in cardiology research as more likely than men to experience heart attacks without the classic crushing chest pain, presenting instead with fatigue, nausea, or discomfort in the back or jaw. So if you're a woman reading your own body's signals, or you're caring for one, the textbook heart attack you've seen depicted for decades may simply never show up, even though everything happening underneath is just as serious. Here's why this matters so much. When a heart attack happens silently, the damage to the heart muscle doesn't happen silently. Oxygen-starved heart tissue can die and be replaced by scar tissue whether or not you feel it. And a heart that's already carrying old, unrecognized scar tissue from a previous silent event is a heart that is more vulnerable to future problems, including heart failure and dangerous rhythm disturbances, sometimes months or years down the road. This is exactly why cardiologists care so much about catching these events, even after the fact, because knowing about old damage changes how your care team manages your heart going forward. Now let's get into the 4 signs I promised you. I want you to really absorb these because they don't look anything like the heart attack you've seen in movies. Sign number 1, sudden, crushing fatigue. Not just feeling a little tired after a long day. I'm talking about an exhaustion so heavy that walking from the bedroom to the bathroom feels like climbing a flight of stairs with weights strapped to your ankles. Your legs feel like concrete. Your chest feels heavy, even if it doesn't exactly hurt. This kind of sudden, out-of-proportion exhaustion, especially if it comes on over a period of hours rather than gradually over weeks, is one of the most commonly reported symptoms of silent cardiac events in older adults, and especially in women. Sign number 2, jaw, ear, or upper neck discomfort. This one confuses people constantly because the heart and the jaw don't seem like they should have anything to do with each other. But the nerves that carry pain, signals from the heart, travel through a shared pathway with the nerves serving the neck, jaw, and lower teeth. When the heart is in distress, that pain signal can get referred, meaning the brain misreads where it's coming from, and it shows up as an ache in the jaw, behind the ear, or along the side of the neck. I have heard of people scheduling emergency dental appointments for a toothache that turned out to be their heart. Dentists are actually trained to watch for this, because every so often someone sits down in the dental chair with a toothache, and the dentist recognizes the pattern doesn't match any actual dental problem. If you develop jaw or neck discomfort out of nowhere, with no dental explanation, no recent dental work, and no obvious cause, take it seriously, especially if it shows up alongside any of the other 3 signs. Sign number 3, a sudden, unexplained cold sweat. Not the sweat you get from being out in the heat or from exercise. I mean waking up drenched or breaking out in a clammy sweat while sitting still, doing nothing physical at all. This is your autonomic nervous system, the part of you that runs on autopilot, reacting to the body's distress. It's the same fight-or-flight machinery kicking into gear because your body senses something is seriously wrong, even if your conscious mind hasn't caught up yet. Sign number 4, a pressure that feels like a stuck burp. This one gets dismissed constantly as indigestion because it genuinely feels like it. A tight, squeezing pressure right at the base of the breastbone or upper abdomen that feels like it should resolve with a burp, but it doesn't. Here's the tell that separates this from ordinary indigestion. Antacids, Tums, Pepsid, whatever's in your medicine cabinet, do essentially nothing to relieve it. Real indigestion usually responds, at least a little, to those medications. Cardiac-related pressure typically doesn't budge. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Frank, a composite of patterns I've seen described again and again in stories from families going through exactly this. Frank was 71, managing his blood pressure with medication, and had lived with type 2 diabetes for over a decade. One evening after dinner, he told his wife he just felt off, tired in a way that didn't match the day he'd had. He mentioned a dull ache along his jaw that he blamed on a molar that had been bothering him for weeks. He broke out in a sweat while sitting at the kitchen table, even though the house was cool. His wife suggested he take an antacid for the pressure he described near his ribs. It didn't touch it. Frank almost went to bed. What made the difference that night was that his wife recognized more than one of these signs stacking up at once, and insisted they call for help instead of waiting until morning. That decision, made in minutes, is the entire point of this video. Any one of these signs on its own might mean nothing at all. Fatigue happens, sweat happens, a sore jaw happens. But when you notice 2 or more of these together, especially fatigue paired with any of the other 3, I want you to take that seriously and act on it rather than waiting it out to see if it passes. So let's talk about what to actually do, because this is the part that saves lives. The first rule, and I cannot stress this enough, do not drive yourself to the hospital, and don't have your spouse or partner drive you either. Call emergency services. Here's why this matters so much. If your heart goes into a dangerous rhythm in the passenger seat of a car, there is nothing anyone in that car can do for you. But if that same thing happens in the back of an ambulance, the paramedics have a defibrillator, oxygen, and cardiac medications sitting right there, ready to go. That difference can be the difference between life and death. Paramedics can also start an EKG and radio ahead to the hospital, so the cardiac team is prepared the moment you arrive, which can shave critical minutes off the time it takes to get treatment started. The second thing, and please hear the caveat that comes right after this, current emergency guidance from cardiology organizations is that if you are not allergic to aspirin and have no history of bleeding problems, chewing, not swallowing whole, a regular adult aspirin, typically 325 milligrams, while you wait for emergency services can help. Chewing it, rather than swallowing it with water, gets it absorbed into your bloodstream faster, and aspirin works by helping stop a blood clot from growing larger inside a narrowed artery. This is not a substitute for calling for help. It's something you do while help is on the way, and the 911 dispatcher can also confirm this guidance with you in real time. And this leads directly into something critical. If you are on a blood thinner like Eliquis, Xarelto, warfarin, or Plavix, or if you have a known bleeding disorder, do not take aspirin on your own judgment in this moment. Follow whatever specific instructions your cardiologist has already given you for an emergency, or let the 911 dispatcher and paramedics guide you. Every person's situation is different, and your own doctor's instructions always take priority over anything you hear in a video like this one. I want to say one more thing here, because I know embarrassment stops people from calling for help. Please don't let it. I would so much rather you go to the emergency room, get checked out, and be told it was nothing more than a heavy meal, than have your family find out the next morning that something happened overnight that could have been caught. This brings me to an important safety note I want every single one of you to actually act on, not just nod along to. If you have any risk factors we talked about today, diabetes, high blood pressure, a family history of heart disease, or you're simply over the age of 65, talk to your doctor this month about getting an EKG, an electrocardiogram. It's quick, painless, and it can sometimes reveal signs of a previous silent heart attack that already happened without anyone knowing. That information changes how your doctor manages your heart care going forward, and it could be the single most valuable 15 minutes you spend on your health all year. Let's bring this together. Silent heart attacks happen because, with age and conditions like diabetes, the nerve signals that would normally scream in pain get quieted down. The 4 signs to watch for are sudden crushing fatigue, unexplained jaw or neck discomfort, a cold, clammy sweat with no physical cause, and a stubborn pressure that feels like a stuck burp but doesn't respond to antacids. If you notice these, especially together, call emergency services. Don't drive yourself, and follow current guidance on aspirin only if it's safe for you personally. I know videos like this one can feel heavy. That's not my intention. My intention is the opposite. I want you to walk away from this feeling more in control, not less, because now you know what to watch for, and you know exactly what steps to take if it ever happens. Knowledge like this is what turns a terrifying, confusing moment into a clear, decisive one. Frank's story had a good ending because someone in the room recognized the pattern. I want that same recognition sitting quietly in the back of your mind, ready if you ever need it, and I sincerely hope you never do. Your body whispers before it screams. As we get older, so many of us get used to living with aches and pains and tiredness that we stop listening closely to the whispers. Please don't let that happen to you. A sudden change is not just another ache to push through. It's information, and it deserves your attention. If today's video helped you, or if you learned something you didn't know before, type vitality in the comments so I know to keep bringing you content like this. If it missed the mark for you, type independence, and let me know in the comments what you'd rather see, because this channel is built around what actually helps you. The next step in protecting your heart is understanding what's happening in your arteries long before a moment like this ever arrives. I've put a video on your screen right now that walks through exactly that, so click on it and keep learning. I'm Dr. David Thompson. I'll see you in the next video.